What's on, everyone? It is another week of Forder and Wackles. Wackles has gone turncoat now. I mean, the season's over and he's in a Napoli shirt. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. Good to be here again. Obviously,
It's great to be back.
Honestly forgetting us to even play football anymore. Straight on the transfers,
Yeah. Like, it's mad, isn't it? What are we just saying? Like the Gyökeres news, and then it's Verts, and then it's Howson, and it's just constant at the moment. I mean,
And Liverpool was like a positive result as well, I think, in the end.
yeah, in the end, it was, wasn't it? Like, do you think they must have wanted to batter us? They must have looked at it and gone, they're missing some players. Like the squad's thin. They've just got knocked out of the Champions League. Perfect time to play him. We'll do that, and then we'll go off on the beach, have some beers. 2-0 up. They must have been thinking, oh, lovely. And then we go and ruin it. It's quite nice, really. Like,
it was nice. So I watched the second half, and I was just like, because it's like you have no expectations, and you're just like, oh, we haven't even come back at all this season. It's been awful. We've like given up every time we concede. So it's like kind of just like, oh, well, let's see what happens. And then we actually played well. I mean, we could have played better, and I actually think like, yet again, I think Arteta, man, this guy needs some respect. I think tactically we were so good, and the team just like sometimes is not there. But I think overall we played well. Like we could have won, even with 10 men in the last minute. So here's what it
and
is.
that's the other thing. I forgot about that. I went down to 10 men. Whose fault is it? Is it David Raya or is it Marino?
So you always say things though that see, this is the problem. I just said that I'll give credit to Arteta, and now you've said something where I'm gonna have to I'll be upset about Arteta. Because I actually think, and I tweeted this as well, I think it's Arteta's fault. And I know it's like a crazy opinion. But like I was watching the game. I was watching the game, and literally 10 minutes before like the 10 minutes before that happened, we kept passing the ball to Marino, and he just kept like fumbling. He kept making mistakes. He was like clearly really tired and really struggling to like receive. So like, okay, yeah, why did he come? But like, I don't understand why Arteta didn't bring him off, because he brought off someone else before. He brought two players off. Calafiori came on. I can't remember who for exactly. And I was just like, why is he still on the pitch? Bring Marino off. And then literally a minute after I said that, he receives from the goal kick and then gets for a card. I'm like, it's just that is, in my opinion, poor management. But I mean, yeah, I don't know about Ryan and Marino's fault.
To me, it's Marino. I think, like, because if you're taking it, say, on your point, if you're putting another player who's at the time fresh, able to receive in that position, that's the right pass. It's not like a horrendous pass. So for me, it has to be on Marino. It's not David Raya's job to kind of be looking out for one of his teammates. I know, like, certain respects you do, but I think on the blame level, like, if it's a seesaw, I think Marino is like the one who's weighing that one down, unfortunately.
It's how we play as well. Can't really blame Ryan for that, I think.
Yeah, like, it is what it is. But last week, mate, we started talking about world-class players and, you know, what do we actually need? Do we need one world-class player? Or are we two away? Or, you know, the quality of the squad's got to go up. So I've organised a little kind of slideshow with this. Obviously, it's got the FOKLZ logo on there. But let's just go through our team a minute. And I think we have to be as impartial as we can and not as kind of as tribal as possible. This is our most used 11 this season, according to Who Scored. And all the lineups you'll see on here are from Who Scored. Who is world-class in this? Because for me, like, outright, William Saliba has to be world-class. Like, I don't think that's debatable. Agreed with that, or?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, all right. We're not falling out yet. Anyone else in the back line for you?
Gabriel is 100% for me. Like, I think I always hate the like. I think like when you get debates about world class, it is a lot of the time the arguments really start because people haven't like said what they think world class is.
All right, right, go on then. Let's define it. Okay. Let's do it. Okay. Let's go for this.
Well, I think world class. Like I know people will say it's a top 3 in their position, top 5. I genuinely think it may be top 5 in their position. I think that is a fair statement because maybe I get the top 3 argument, but it's like I don't know. I also think like there has to be specifics involved with this because especially when I look at midfield, every midfielder in the world plays like kind of different. There are similarities
Yeah.
between a lot of players, but like not even from a position standpoint, a DM, central mid, attacker midfield, or whatever. Like even like the roles of players play. Like people compare Rice to people like Caicedo. They play completely different. Like I know they're kind of in the same position, but they don't play the same. So yeah, of course Rice is going to have more carries. Of course Caicedo's going to have more tackles. Like it just makes sense of where they play. So it's like I do think like when you look at stuff like that, it's hard to like judge. So I think I don't even know what I would class as world class. Like every time I look at a player and I just see like an X factor talent, a talent that I don't see many other players have, I think
Yeah.
you are world class. Kind of. I don't really like. Yeah. No.
I think for this as well, we have to kind of look at it over a season. So I don't know how to explain it. So if I'm looking at Declan Rice here and Urian Timber, they definitely have world class quality. So like Timber 1-on-1 has a world class quality. Is he truly like a world class right back? Do I think he's up there on like a level with Hakimi? For me, he's the top in world football for me anyway. Is he up there with him? I don't think he is. Like
I
one-on-one
mean,
situations, he
it's
is.
tough, isn't it?
But I think,
Yeah,
and
it's
at the
just
same
tough,
time,
isn't it?
like
Because like
you said about X Factor, game changing. Trent is nowhere near as good as Timber 1-on-1, but he just has this unbelievable ability with his passing and free kicks, to be fair. But his ability to get Liverpool out of tough situations and get them across the line is something that Timber just he can't do. So for
I
me, I
think
mean, it's going to
I
be
think with
difficult.
your point is I think with your point is fair. Like I think one of the things I would consider high on like world class, like if you are, is consistency. I think at
Mm.
least if you've shown it for a long time. I'm not. That's not obviously a dig at Timber. Like he's only played for us for one season. Like obviously injured the other
Off an
season.
ACL, yeah.
Yeah, like, and he has been incredible. What, like, and I do think specifically the fullback positions are weak in world football. If you said to me who's your top 5 fullbacks, I genuinely would be like, they're all kind of got problems. Like, I think Hakimi has big problems in this game. I think like left back wise, you got Bolder, he's great, but he still
Yeah.
is like got problems. I think even Demarco, everyone was going on about how good he was and got cooked by Yamal easily for well, he played much better in the second leg, but in the first leg he was awful. So I do think they all have issues, like, and it's hard to kind of judge in that way. Like when I look at someone like Trent, it's like you said, like I get he has problems as well, but he is like probably the best passer in world football in any position, I think. So I do think that like puts him up there. I think Hakimi is one of the best like drivable players, like progressive fullbacks you're going to see. Like he has a role where he gets to play very attacking, and we've seen games where he hasn't been brilliant. Like I remember the Morocco semi-final against France, he wasn't great in
Yeah.
that game. But it's just how he plays. Like you're going to have people take more risks and sometimes not play off. So I think if Timber has another season like this, though, like he has to be considered up there. But I wouldn't put him up there now. Yeah, I think like that consistency point is important.
Yeah. I think in terms of like, for Miles, he is a world class prospect in terms of world football youngsters, especially in his position. There's very few players that can rival him, and he's got such a high ceiling. But he's not world class, and I don't think anyone would argue with that. Odegaard, not for me. He's probably had moments where he's got close to being a world class player in an Arsenal shirt, but he's again consistency. His final ball at times, his decision making. He's just not. I hate that for an Arsenal captain, but he's not for me. And
It's
Thomas
so annoying
Partey,
because
go for it, mate.
I was just gonna say like, it's annoying because like I don't know. 2 years ago, Odegaard, in my opinion, was like genuinely the best attacking midfielder in the world. Like he was just unbelievable in for like 2 seasons back to back. Where like even though I don't even consider him as an attacking midfielder, he was genuinely playing like an elite world-class attacker midfielder. And I do think this season is like he's been awful. He's probably been our worst starter by far, I think. And I think that like it's always hard to talk about a play. Like it's like the sort of thing. It's like it's hard to talk about food when you're not hungry. I don't know. I don't think about food when I'm not hungry, but when you're hungry, you're like, oh, you want
I
to talk
always
about
think
food
about
a bit
food.
more. Oh, okay. But it's like that with Odegaard. It's like he's been bad this season, so it's really hard to like sit there and be like, oh, he has actually been really world class in the last couple of years because he's so bad this season. But like, I don't know. For the last 2 seasons, he was probably our best player other than Saka. And I do think from the levels that we've reached, he was a big part of that. Like, as much as we didn't win the league last year, we deserved to win the league last year. We really did. We played brilliant that year. We were the best team in the country, and he was a big reason for that. And the year before, he got the most goals from a midfielder in the Premier League at one pens. Like that is like world class stat. Like
Yeah,
and
true.
unfortunately this season it hasn't been there, but he was at one point, I would say.
And I think that's something maybe we need to bring in for this as well. When we're looking at world class, possibly for that season, I know we're talking about consistency. I've got a player in mind that will come up, and I think we'll probably have a good discussion about them. But for this team, for this Arsenal 24-25, like Odegaard is just not, he is not world class. And Thomas Partey, as much as I know you want to put him as world class, for me, mate, I don't think he is. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think when we signed, well, the thing is, it's hard. I really, really find it hard to judge defensive midfielders. Is more out of, I think, any other position in football. Maybe other central midfielders as well, just because they're so team dependent. Like I think a lot of DMs are very like good at multiple things, but you never really see it because they have to play a specific way. Like I think Caicedo is an incredible player, but I actually think like until this season he'd been very limited in some of his roles that he'd played. And I do think like sometimes with Partey, like when he was at Atleti, he was really, really good, one of the best DMs in the world. And then he came to Arsenal and was really good. And I like how I think he plays a very unique way, like how he progresses the ball and how big he is. It's like, I mean, it's like Yaya Toure-esque. But I do think that, like, yeah, he's definitely not world class, and I don't think he's probably an argument to be like he never has been, but he's definitely been close. Because I just think defensive midfield's a hard place to judge. But I don't know. It's the same thing with Partey. Like I don't like him really, so it's hard for me to be positive. But
Declan Rice. Now, for me, and I think some people are going to get really annoyed. He has definitely shown at times that he is world class. There have been other times where I think the game state and the type of game he is being asked to play have shown that he's not world class. Does that kind of make sense? So, for example, playing against Real Madrid was the perfect game for him to kind of demonstrate what he can do. So for him to be able to drive through midfield and carry the ball, for him to actually be able to take those free kicks and not play the kind of way that Jova would like us to play from certain set pieces. And I think sometimes he needs open spaces and he needs very good players to showcase his skills. When we're playing, a possession-heavy game and we're playing against teams that haven't got midfields as strong as ours, it's hard for Declan Rice to kind of really show what he's about. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
You did it. I think there was just a nod then, so I thought, have I made utter like?
I was just looking up DMs and being like, right, who can I compare it to? It's so weird because like I don't know, like I still find midfield such a hard place to judge. Like I think Declan Rice is world class. Like I just think like the things that he does on a football pitch, I think most of the issues that you have with him or like people have is like tactical more than him. And I get that it's like, oh, he maybe needs better players around him, but I do think that can be the same with a lot of midfielders. Like I think nearly all DMs probably have that same ability. Like Zubimendi, I think people are going to be absolutely surprised about how good he is when he comes in because he's been an dog awful Real Sociedad team this year. They've been awful to watch. So like I think when it comes to Rice, like I think as a DM, there has been times in I think if he played a limited role in DM and some other teams just get their DM to tackle, recycle the ball, I think he is world class at that. I think he's one of the
Yeah.
best people at doing that. But he doesn't play that role for us, and our DMs don't naturally. I think as a central midfielder, he is arguably so impactful. And I get it is definitely game state dependent. And I think there's certain ways that we don't like how he's played, like when he runs in the box sometimes when I'm like, I mean, it's good in certain games against Real Madrid, but there's games against like low block teams, against like Brentford, that's not going to do anything against.
Yeah.
So it's a weird situation because I do
Is it
think that
Odegaard's fault
is
that we're not just outright saying he's world class then? In terms of, and let me kind of clarify this, because Odegaard's output has not been high enough, kind of just looking at GA, for example, out of those three, he is the kind of chief creator. He is the person that everyone will get, well, he's the person. I know the system isn't quite as him as like an out and out 10. Because he is underperforming on output, Declan Rice almost has to shoulder that responsibility, and that's not his role. He is not someone that really, if you were looking, you wouldn't go, right, I want Declan Rice to get, I don't know, 10 goals a season or something. But I feel that maybe like he almost gets judged because Odegaard's output isn't enough. Does that kind of work? And maybe that's what's stopping me from saying Declan Rice is just, outright, he is world class. I just sometimes I'm like, is he? I don't know. And maybe it's that other thing of comparing him to the absolute world class players I've seen over the years. So I know we talked about Totti last week, out and out, just was world class. Like a Zidane, world class. A Kante, different type of player again, world class. Rodri, world class. Declan Rice, I just think, is he at that level? No. But then, is it in isolation with this year? Has he shown he's world class? Yeah, quite possibly. Like what midfielders are kind of up there with him that can do what he does?
Well, that's the thing. Like, he is so specific. Like,
Mm,
and I think that sometimes is very hard to judge. But like, even like we've all complained about, maybe not complained, but we talked about Rice's output not being as good as it can be. I mean, this season people are talking 50, 60 mil for Tajani Reinders from AC Milan, and he has
yeah.
had his best. He's had his best goal scoring season in his career, and his goals and assists this season are 19, and Rice's is 18. Like, I think Rice's level, like in output, which is one of his weakest things before this season, is incredible. And I think instead of Rice being like insane at one thing, his time at Arsenal has been like basically him being very good at a lot of things. And Arsenal have been trying to develop everything very slowly with him, like set piece taking, output, like running into the box. And I think all of that has kind of accumulated to a player that is okay. Like he's like really good in everything, rather than you won't see him as a tackling specialist. Like I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, Rice's best thing is his passing," and I'm like, "No, in my opinion, his best thing is his off the ball work. How great he is in a press. Like that is the best thing he has within this squad." And obviously, stuff like that is so hard to judge. Like I always say to people that like it's hard to judge players, and you never will. Anyone in the media won't talk about off the ball and how good these players are, but we are one of the best off the ball teams in Europe, and the
Oh,
reason for
100%.
that is our midfield. Like, even though obviously we all know how good Odegaard is off the ball, and we've not complained about that, but not just him. Rice, Havertz, Saka, they're all so good. Even Trossard does a job. Like, and it's such an important thing for our club. That's why when we talk about like signings, we all want these players to have that off the ball qualities, or at least try really hard, because that has been cemented within the team. So I think it kind of depends what you want from your midfielder. And I get aesthetically, Rice is not like that guy. He plays like a dribbling, running midfielder and doesn't look like one. He looks like a DM. He's like 6'2",
Yeah.
big guy. It's the same with Marino came in, but I think you're not going to see many players be able to at least have the level he has consistently. I know he's been poor, especially at the start of this season. I think until maybe that Chelsea game, he wasn't brilliant, but then he really kicked into gear. Now, I don't think he should be getting Premier League nominations for Player of the Season, which he has been today. But it is what it is. Like he's still been like he's had like a 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 season. He's still been one of our best players. Like it's just crazy. Like his consistency, I think, puts him up there.
Yeah. And then the front three, I think there's only one player for me that could be argued as world class, and that's Bukayo Saka. I don't think there's really any argument for it. I mean, ironically, for me, the thing that stands out about Saka is not his, carrying. It's not his one-on-one wins and his ability to, clutch moments, goals and assists. Any of that. It's intelligence. Intelligence for him is beyond pretty much any other winger in world football. And that is, again, out of possession. He's unbelievable. And there's so few players at his level that would then put in the work that he does in that respect. We are so lucky to have him at the club. We'll die for the badge. We'll just do everything possible. Puts in the hard yards, would play in any position for us. Really weird. And I know that he said in the past, like for England, like, why would I play in enough? But then what does he go and do? He goes and does it. He's just an unbelievable player. I just hope he gets the recognition he deserves, because he obviously doesn't get. He doesn't get the plaudits, unfortunately.
It's just loads of things in it though. Like, he's playing for Arsenal, being black. I mean, these things are just going to be against him within the media. Like, we've seen it with Miles as well, and it's like, I think even no matter, because Saka has reached levels I genuinely don't think many Arsenal players have consistently hit in over 2 decades, like since the Invincibles, like really. But he just will never. I just don't think he'll ever get the credit he deserves. And even when he's sitting there carrying England in the summer, I've been on trains. I went on a train before Norwich played Arsenal when I went to London to do something else, and all the people on the train are just talking, are chanting about Saka letting the country down and stuff. And I just think it's so disrespectful that the respect that he doesn't get when he carries England a lot of the time. Like, Harry Kane, like everyone hated him in the summer, but everyone, no one really hates Harry Kane generally. Oh, he's fine, but I wonder why that is. Like, there is just certain parts about. I get Saka is not aesthetically a very pleasing player, and I think Arteta really doesn't help him. Like, I think even now, like, he's clearly injured. I think his shooting since he's come back has been really bad. And even some of the times he's on the ball, like even against Liverpool, I don't know, he seems quite apprehensive to like keep the ball. He's like struggling a little bit. And I think these sort of like parts come into the game of Arteta plays him under injury all the time. Arteta makes him run 400 yards per game all the time. And I get that's how we need to play, and it's the highest level. We expect a lot, and I understand that. But he doesn't get help like other players do. Foden, if he's having a bit of off form, he gets replaced out of the team. If same with Grealish, didn't score for a year and no one spoke about it. Like, it is these sort of like the levels that we have to reach for Saka are much higher than everyone else because he is our best player. But I just want this summer, at least the next season, to at least give him some support and allow him to not have to play every game and give him some rest and at least like let him build himself back up, because the level that he was playing at, given all of the circumstances against him, were insane. Like, and that's world class.
Yeah, 100%. So we are saying, William Saliba, Gabriel, Bukayo Saka. Are we saying Declan Rice is world class?
I will, but you don't have to.
I mean, I'll give it halfway though. I'll give it halfway. Okay, so we're saying we've kind of got 3, possibly 4 world class players, and I would agree. This is the one that I think some people will say no to. If they're not Arsenal fans, I think some people will, and it's that prior judgment of him, unfortunately.
But I literally made videos like one of my first big videos on YouTube was literally like me. I literally did a video and I called it something like the best Arsenal player that you don't know, and it was about Gabriel. And I had loads of comments being like, I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that good. And it's funny how the media, specifically, there's people that don't support Arsenal, have changed their opinion of him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've watched podcasts of weeks and months of people going, oh, he's still rash. He's still a rash. Like, halfway through this season. And then I'm looking at their team of the season, and they're sitting there saying, I think Gabriel's better than Saliba. He's been Arsenal's best. Oh, now he's arguably been our best defender for like 18 months. Like, he's been that level. And like, mentally, like, yeah, again, no one will talk about it, but the amount of impact he has on the team from, like, not necessarily a playing standpoint is important. But this season, from a playing standpoint, he has been insane. And when you talk about defenders in the world, I don't think centre backs wise, there's many world class centre backs. Like, I look at centre backs and I go, okay, like people say to me, Rudiger. No, he's definitely not. He's rash. He's rash. He runs out of position, makes mistakes. He can just do that at Real Madrid when they have their midfield. Like, I think when I look at centre backs, especially left centre backs, it's literally Gabriel, Bastoni, and Van Dijk because he plays there, but he is right footed. And I think that's the three people that I would go left centre back are world class. I don't really see anyone else at that level.
Yep. So. Yeah. Right. Now, the whole purpose of this is that we were kind of saying, do we need, truly world class talent? Or is it just a case of, leveling up the squads, slight level raises in terms of like looking at this Partey or Trossard? But here is the Liverpool team from this year. Who's world class in that team? Let's just rattle them off. Go
on. Alisson is 100%. Van Dijk. I would still say Trent is. I think what he brings to a team is insane. Salah is, and I think Konate is like pretty much almost there, but I don't know if I'd say it like fully, but I'd say he is on the level, I would say. Everyone else, in my opinion, is like give or take. Like I think McAllister and Gravenberch are insane. I actually think McAllister's been arguably one of the best players this season.
Is there an argument to say he's been world class this season?
I think McAllister definitely has. I think Gravenberch was the best midfielder in the Prem for 4 months, and then he fell off.
Like
I don't think the levels I don't think he's bad, but I don't think the levels that he's had the last 6 months have been anywhere near the start. And it's like, we talk about consistency. He didn't even play last season that much, so I don't want to say that. McAllister, I would say you could definitely argue he has been consistently quite good. Like, he was amazing at Brighton. He's been amazing since he's been at Liverpool for 2 years now. So, like, I think that's fair. But I don't think anyone else there is on that level. But there's a few players that are close. Like, I think Konate you could argue with as well.
Yeah, and I know that we've said it time and time again about these scores from Who Scored and Sofa Score and stuff. However, you just looking the 7.2, regardless, it just kind of shows you the consistency as well, because he has been integral to that midfield throughout. Like, Szoboszlai had moments at the beginning of the season. I think Gravenberch did as well. Throughout, he has been the mainstay of that midfield. He's been unbelievable. He's such a good player. And the price they got him for was absolute steal. So we're saying, what?
It's such a good signing.
Kind of like 5-ish for them. I mean, it depends if you're going to include Konate as well, but definitely, and I hate to say it, this season, definitely more world-class talent than ours, which is really interesting because we did go further than them in the Champions League. That's what I'm going to say. Right, next one. So we're going back in time another season.
And all their players are 30, so it's fine.
Yeah. I've put the 4 City teams from 2020, 21 up to the 23-24. Simply because obviously there's going to be some overlap here, so I feel there's no point of us spending ages. The one reason I said earlier about, across the season, and we just said about McAllister, is this guy here. He is not a world-class player.
I don't even think he was that good in that. Well, no, I think he was good, but he wasn't their best player. Like,
no, he wasn't their best player.
He got player of the season, man.
But looking at the goals he scored, like the moments he had, surely there's an argument to say he had a world-class season. I'm not saying
he's clutch.
And he's definitely had a fall off this season. I understand that, and I'm not saying Foden is a world-class player. I don't actually particularly like Foden that much. He would be a great addition to our squads with the the profile he has carrying. But yeah, I think just that season, you'd have to say he's in and around there, definitely, isn't he?
It really depends, like where you are with the man the team makes the player or the player makes the team. Because like I think that's a very good argument because I think like Saka, in my opinion, you put him in any team in the world, he will find a way
Oh,
to make it work, and I think
100%.
that is undeniably world class. Arguably, you could say the same. Salah doesn't do that; like he has to play this way, which is like where I kind of go, yeah, fair enough. Like I still think he is world class because Liverpool have got the best out of him. Um, but I do think Foden is very much helped by the system at Man City in many ways, but I don't necessarily want to like hit him with that too much. It's not like a bad thing. Like a lot of players in the world have always been like that. Players just work better in certain systems. That's how it is. So it is what it is. But like that season, I think he was genuinely like he was really good, and I think the amount of pullback people have about Foden and the Saka thing and all that thing. I've always thought Saka's a better player. Even in that season, I thought Saka was better. But Foden is for them amazing. Like he is really good, and like just because he's in the merry-go-round of rotation, like everyone is at City, and now they're buying what 3 other midfielders, and he'll probably be even in more next season. But it doesn't mean he's a bad player at all. No.
No. This man here, undeniably world class.
Oh, I love him.
Just,
I don't. I hate him as a person because of what he said about Arsenal. That really pissed me off when he said
I
about the
hate
mentality
him with
thing.
his stalling tactics as well. You know that Marsler Skelly is getting pulled up for these fouls. Rodri does
Yeah.
about 100 per get. It's insane that he gets away with it.
Well,
But
yeah. Well, that's what annoys me about Van Dijk, but it's true.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Rodri, honestly, that Rodri is just like this guy's insane, man. Wait, like I did videos about him 2 years ago, and I was like, this guy is their best player. If he's playing Man City, will win the league forever because he is so good. Like the amount of control he has in games is insane. And I was
Mm,
so happy when he won the Ballon d'Or because I don't like him personally, but I don't really like Vinny either. And I was like, he deserves it over Vinny. Like he has been the outstanding player for a team that have won like so many things. You
everything.
know, Vinny hasn't, in my opinion, in order to win the Ballon d'Or, you have to have the most insane season known to man. Not just winning, but like in your position, you have to be the best player in the world consistently for that year. Vinny had like 17 goal contributions, was pretty mid in a lot of the big games. That is not an outstanding. Like if you're an attacker and win the Ballon d'Or, in my eyes, you have to be like 50 goal contributions, winning your team titles all the time, not just winning titles and being there. Like Bellingham was better for Real Madrid last year than Vinny was. But Rodri, outstanding, deserved the Ballon d'Or last year, was the best player in the world, and was just incredible. And unfortunately, he got his ACL injured against us. Like, I never want to see someone get injured, especially with how good he is. And that has like really, really hurt City like a lot.
Yeah. I think people need to keep that in mind when we've lost players like Saka and Odegaard, how we haven't capitulated. And again, it goes back to that argument of the player and the team and the system. You know, are these system players? I think City are undoubtedly revolved around Rodri for that system. Without it, they just don't function. They struggle so much. Whereas we found ways, and credit to Arteta for doing it. Losing essentially the whole of our right hand side would have decimated most teams, and we've managed to continue and get to a semi-final of a Champions League and come second, possibly. You know, we're currently there, but it's not a disastrous season. You know, we haven't fallen out of Champions League places, and I remember at one point people going, "Oh, are City actually going to get there? Are they going to be in the top 4?" They've turned the ship round, but you know, it's not been a classic season for them. Erling Haaland, I mean, just in terms of finishing, he is world class. Are there any other players there for that season? Because I'd argue
I
Kyle
think,
Walker is not because of that season. I don't think he was world
I think,
class.
I think I think Diaz was until this season. I
Yeah.
think Diaz really was. Like I think as a comfortable, calm defender, like I talk a lot about calmness and bringing that sort of patience in the team. I think Diaz brings that a lot. And I think Vardial, like I think
Mm-hmm.
last season he was way better than he has been this season. Like this season, his goals have been really important. He's a very clutch player, and he's been very impactful in big games. So people like go on about. I've seen people put him in their team this season. Are we just forgetting about the 8 goals leading to like 8 goals he's given up because he passed the ball back poorly? Like a lot of the time, City were awful this season because Vardy was just making like rookie mistakes in defense, which is mental for a defender like him to make that because he is so good. But yeah, like the thing is as well, like you look at they're the world class talents, then everyone else is like very, very good. Like
They're
Alvarez
in
that
top
season
tier, but
was
they're not.
very
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Like I love
100%.
Alvarez, and I think he was so good.
Let's quickly rattle through the next one. So let's go 22, 23. So Diaz again for me. Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne, as much as he kind of struggled at times.
Yeah.
Gundogan.
Gundogan was so good that season. That was the year he scored the winner, didn't he?
Yeah.
I gotta admit he was insane. Haaland and
Haaland.
I mean
Bernardo.
I think Bernardo like was, and I think he is like one of the most underrated players I'd say in the Prem in a while. Like I
Yeah.
do really think he is one of the. He's just a system player, but he is really important. And I mean I don't like him as well. He's also horrible comments about our team, but you know they can't keep our team out of their mouth apparently. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree. I think unbelievable talent, and he is. He'll go down as one of those players that people forget, and people who have watched him will go, "Oh, you have no idea how good he was." He's yeah. Do you think this is going to sound really strange? Do you think he's going to struggle as well because he's the other Silva at City? Like, I think David Silva is going to have.
I mean,
he'll be a legend in years to come. Like another 20 years, he will be a City like a proper legend. I wonder if Bernardo Silva will suffer for that because everyone calls him Bernardo, don't they, rather than Silva. It's that kind of, I don't know. I do wonder if that's like a strange subconscious thing where people kind of forget, yeah, I don't know. But he's undoubtedly, I think, world class for that season. World class. 21, 22, who are we putting in?
It's funny because I've actually been a bit of an Edison hater forever.
I was
and
just
I will
thinking
continue
that
to hate.
season. Was he world class though? I feel he was.
I mean,
This is
yeah,
like
it's so
peak
hard to
ball
judge.
distribution, and I know his like save percentage was not great.
It's so hard
but,
because he's just like I just don't think he's a great keeper, but he is just like a really good system fit for City because of how good his passing is. Like, and I think that's just the reason why he's always worked. But I've never sat there and been jealous of City because they got Edison. I just thought, well, maybe because he's passing to certain levels, but I've always just been like, wow, he's a below average shot stopper in my opinion.
yeah.
And I don't know. It's hard. Like the whole City team is a lot of it is systems, and they work so well. I mean, that season Laporte was like, I mean, it was so good. Like his passing was on another level.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, Cancelo's a weird
I'm
one,
going to
man.
say
Like,
Cancelo.
so weird.
I think that season he was.
Yeah,
It
I
just
mean,
in a similar
he's had
mold
the
to
weirdest
Hakimi in a
career
way.
ever.
Yeah.
Like he's had the weirdest career ever. Like he went 5 years in a row moving to a different club, like for like 40 mil each time. Like, and I'm like, why is every single team giving up on this guy? Like he's great. He played brilliant for like 3 teams in a row, just moved different leagues. I was like, this guy trying to collect the top 5 leagues or something. Like, what's going on? And then even that happened at City. Like he was great for a year and a half, and then they threw him out. He went to Barca, then he went to Barca, left Barca, and it's like, oh my God, like he's a great.
It's got to
He
be
was
an
that.
attitude, personality problem there.
Yeah,
Like,
he did definitely said some stuff about Pep when he weren't playing him. I do remember that.
So I'm putting Cancelo in. I think Diaz as well. That's peak Diaz. Do we do Laporte, Edison, Kyle Walker? I mean,
is that the 100? When did they get 100 points?
No, that wasn't this season. That wasn't that with that was Sane, wasn't it?
Oh, okay. So that
I'm pretty sure it was.
Because it's just So I think well, the 100 point was peak City, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think 21, 22, they were really good. I don't. They won so many titles. It's actually hard to remember like the specifics of each year. I remember 22 and 23 like more than a lot of the
17,
others.
18 is that one. The one you're
Oh,
thinking
that is
of.
ages ago. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to judge. I think.
I mean, De Bruyne and Rodri again
Jesus.
that season. The chuckle. Ironically, look at his score here. He's the second highest on here according to who scored.
It's because he played like
so funny, isn't it?
I think he played like 14 starts, and I remember he scored 4 against Watford. That might have been that year he did that,
Yeah,
and then he scored like 3 in another game. And I was like, he's just stat padding because they play him against the crap team.
I mean, that front three. Oh no, I don't think any of that front three in that season.
Grealish was really good when he came in, but not from a goal scoring standpoint. But he just really helped him. And I remember
world class though.
Yeah, no, it's hard to judge. It's with City as well. We're seeing here like their main team, like the most played team. But like, I mean, some of these players, like Doku for last season, I don't think he played that much, just because they rotate so much that like every winger's had like 10 games to play.
Yeah,
So it's
exactly.
like it's a squad.
I'm going to put Bernardo in there. I'm. Do you know what? These three here, Edison, Laporte, and Kyle Walker, they all had really good seasons.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, Walker's a weird one because I like you forget like I really do this a lot where I just kind of forget like Walker is awful. He's been awful for 2 years, but I forget how good he was actually before that. He was one of the best right backs in the world for a good 3 or 4 years, I would say.
Yeah, but maybe
so I'd probably put him in there.
Yeah, okay, we'll put him in there. And I guess we're leaving out Edison just because you hate him.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
And then the next season, the 2021, I guess for me, Mahrez, I think he was world class there. Gundogan was.
I love Mahrez. I think he's so good. It's so weird, like good hands in the team, out the team, in the team, out the team, and he's probably this season going to be in it again because obviously, like, because you weren't there for a year, like,
yeah,
it's just insane what they do, especially with defenders as well.
That's funny, isn't it?
Was it? Well, last season, I would argue Stones was world class, but he's not even in like the thing. Like in 23-24, Stones when he played that role was insane. I remember him being like revolutionary in many ways, but obviously,
well, I guess he didn't play that many games. He must be in and out.
Yeah, I mean they all are. To be fair, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Zinchenko made it.
But I think that's fair on that year as well. I mean, if we're just kind of going quickly, it looks about what? Kind of like 6 most of the time. I don't know.
Yeah, the average is like 5 or 6, 4, 5, 6. You would say with the team.
Yeah. Depending if we're putting Foden in there or not. But it does show. I mean, we're instantly going, okay, we're 5 or 6 there. In terms of, let me just change this a minute. In terms of that Liverpool side, again, it's 4 or 5 players. Okay, we've got this 1920 side, the asterisk side. Right, rattle them off. Who are you putting in?
Alisson, Van Dijk, Trent, Fabinho.
Was Robertson?
Yeah, Robertson as well. He got like 12 assists that season. I think the whole front three are like I genuinely think like it's weird because I think Liverpool. I think that's the pinnacle of that Liverpool side, but I think maybe not Firmino in many ways, but I think that's the pinnacle of the Liverpool side. But they were so good for so many years. I mean, they got like 97 points and didn't win the league. Like,
I think Firmino was a very good functional player for them, but in terms of like world class, I think he's just below that.
Yeah, I think I'd rather put Henderson in. Low key, I think Henderson was really good.
Yeah,
I think Henderson was good, and I don't think it's like a 1 season thing. I think Henderson was really good for like 3 years for Liverpool, like real top like midfielder in the world.
I mean, Wijnaldum was really good.
That
some
that's
really incredible moments. I think if I'm saying like, yeah, world class, if I just, maybe the key to this is actually not overthinking it and us just going that player, that player, that player, because looking at that, I'll go, yeah, those players are world class. I think maybe when we're starting to think about it too much, that's the clue that they're not world class, they're just below. But again, you're that is a lot, isn't it? That's 7.
I
Is
mean,
it 7?
they're
1,
all
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
arguably
7.
in
Yeah,
that year
thank God.
they were the best players in the world in their position. I would argue. In like obviously you could argue maybe Van Dijk wasn't at the time, maybe Alisson wasn't like quite there yet, but ultimately they were in the top 3 in their position. I think all of them players that year. Like
Yeah.
Fabinho was insane. I loved him so much when he was there.
Yeah. Killed
It's great. It's crazy how they all have a defensive midfield in there. It's crazy that, isn't it? Maybe that's why we bought one.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true, isn't it? Although we're kind of looking at the same players here constantly.
Yeah, we are.
Rodri's been in here.
But...
Okay, right. City 18-19 and 17-18. So this is the slight difference. I mean, I've Sane here for me. He was just so good. I thought he was going to have a far better career than he did. And don't get me wrong, he's had a very good career. But I thought he was going to be in the running for Ballon d'Ors at some point. That 17-18 season, I think that was the Centurions one. I think he was there. Was he in the 18-19 season before he left?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
I the last memory I have of him at City was I think he played in the Champions League and he scored a free kick in the center of the goal from like 35 yards out and he got curled. But I can't, that was that might have been against Schalke. No, I wasn't against Schalke, but I remember when he was at Schalke as well and he was just so good when he was young before Schalke got relegated and turned into a mess. This season though, like. I mean, I actually watched this City team play like live, and I don't go to many games, but I actually did see this team play. And I remember watching Aguero, and I was just like, this guy is doing what he wants. I mean, it was against Norwich, to be fair, but he was just like insane. And I was like, but even, I mean, it might have been 17-18, but I think Sterling got like 20, 30 goal contributions. I mean, for a forward to get that many, I feel like as much as most of them aren't like the best in the world, I feel like that alone is like up there.
Yeah, that's one. Like I would say, yeah, Sergio Aguero has to be.
Insane player.
Sterling is maybe one that we do this with, that we're like, I mean, for the seasons and the output, maybe. Is it that aesthetic bias as well? Things, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the whole Salah debate as well. Like I don't think anyone debates Salah's world class, but it's when you look back at legends, like how much do you put Salah up there? Because aesthetically he's not great. Like Haaland isn't great, but ultimately their job is to score goals and create, and they do that better than anyone in the world. So it's like I know Sterling didn't hit them levels, but yeah, I think I wouldn't put Sterling in now thinking about it, because we're talking about world class here. Like I don't think he was ever really considered one of the best wingers in the world. I think if you look at rest of the team, like Fernandinho, yet again, DM was the best, one of the best DMs in the world. He was insane. Like De Bruyne was the best attacking midfielder in the world. Like Company was the best centre back when he was there. Like it's just these players are like. I mean, their team is so weird. Like, how do these? I guess it's like hindsight, and the players aren't as good anymore. How does that team win the league? So it's how are they getting so many points? Look at them. Like Otamendi, I always hated, but he was really good. But I hated him. I didn't think he was that good.
I thought he was going to be better than he was when he went there. I thought he was going to be, proper world class, but he never quite got there. He had.
I don't know if
he
guy,
had some really interesting. I don't know. I hate that term, but bozo movements.
Every Argentinian centre back is the same. They are all the same. There's no difference in them. Di Michelis when he was there, like Romero, like they've all got the same problems, so they've also got the same qualities. Like it's so funny. They're just the same player in my eyes.
Do you know what? I'm putting Edison in here. I think at this point he was world class. That was where we had the big argument between him and Alisson. And I think, yeah, he was a big component to them winning and getting that many points for me.
Yeah.
David
It's
Silva
so
as
hard for
well.
me. It's like I cannot remember his game.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Now,
David Silva
actually.
was insane.
And are we saying Gundogan
Well,
or
this
not?
is this is the in my eyes, this is the one of the best Premier League teams of all time and the pinnacle of Man City. So I'm not surprised there's so many in there because this is like, I mean, their whole team was insane. Like they got 100 points for a reason. Like that is just world class all
Yeah.
around.
So again, I mean, unbelievable amount. I don't know. It's making me depressed. Yeah, this side on the right, was that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8.
But I do think in a way, like
some work to do,
that
haven't
is
we?
kind of the changes for football. I feel like City then had no competition. Obviously, Liverpool were really good. I think they were the only two teams that were actually buying smart. I think now you see the Premier League level, like Brighton buy amazingly well, and they just sell on. Like, and I
Yeah.
think like it will. I've said this for years, but the Premier League is going to become closer and closer to each other over and over again. And then I think you only need like 4 or 5 now compared to then. You probably need a lot more.
Okay, let's rattle through this one. Another one, quick. I don't know if Courtois was actually at that point. I think he's got better since he was there.
Yeah, I think he was still one of the best keepers in the league.
I don't think he was world class though. I don't think he was. I was more surprised because it was at this point, wasn't it, that De Gea was the kind of the elite from the Premier League, I guess. And then his move to Real Madrid fell through, and then Courtois went. So I'm not too sure about him. Do you know what? I'm not too sure about that back three at all on paper.
You know what it is? This team is going to have the least in probably because it is the only reason why this team won the league is because Conte is just like he just does things. He just is an insane manager. Like I think both their midfielders, I think Nemanja Matic was like incredible when he was there. And I think you could argue, obviously, Hazard's definitely up there. And I think Azpilicueta is as well. But I think other than that, I would put a lot of the others as like functional. Like Azpilicueta was incredible at Chelsea. It's just he was awful the last like year, and then I think, and he's kind of like lost his rep a bit. But
it's like the season that these two wing backs had. Do you know what I mean? Like you would never have said they'll have seasons like that. They were so good. Again,
the thing is though, like it's just Conte, isn't it? Like he went to Tottenham and bought a 38-year-old Perisic and stuck him at wing back, and then left, and then Tottenham were just stuck with Perisic. He's like nearly 40, just sitting there, like, so what do we do with him? I don't know. He's not a lot of money. Like, and it's same with Chelsea. Like they had so many wing backs that they filtered through, and then eventually he just had Moses there and was like, oh, I'll just use him as a wing back. He brought Alonso in. And it's just like so really. He's done this at every club. He doesn't do this anymore. He hasn't done this season, but he loves just making players wing backs. And if there's no wing backs in the world, he'll find a way to make someone a wing back.
Do you reckon Diego Costa was at this point?
That's when he scored 20 Prem goals, didn't he? Yeah, like I think he was unreal that season. It's hard to judge because like I always kind of depended on like world class is in my eyes very much dependent on the time. So if there's a lot of other good players, like now, I personally don't think there's an abundance of amazing world-class strikers. So I think I could argue like strikers getting in there a bit more than before.
Yeah.
But back then, like I feel like there's a lot of good strikers. So it's hard to judge. But ultimately, he did his job and won them the league, which they came like 12th the season before that, and then like 9th the season after it. So I don't know how this season happened. It's just Conte, and it's.
But again, DMs.
It's the midfield. You've got the midfield is. I think it's so important. I think when you get your midfield right, that's the core, and then the rest can just work around it.
Yeah, it seems to be that with wingers as well, having a really out and out. They're just an X factor winger. Right after that, the Leicester side. Do you know what? I love this Leicester side. What a story.
Shinji Okazaki, what a legend. What a legend. I remember Leonardo Ulloa as well on the bench because he played for, I think he played for Norwich for a bit. And I do remember him playing, but he was good at Brighton and then he went there. I mean, yeah, this season would have been great, but the fact that we easily could have won this league is more frustrating. Like, I think.
These two, I would argue Jamie Vardy that
Yeah.
season
He was
had a
top goal scorer in the
world
Prem, I
class
think.
season.
Like
He was-
28 goals or something.
and some of the finishes he had were outrageous. Any others?
I think it's an argument for Schmeichel. I do think Schmeichel was. I think Schmeichel. Like I've actually been a bit of a hater about Schmeichel as well because I don't know. I hate people that get overly hyped who I just look at and I go, yeah, you're really good, but I don't think you're that good. But that season, I think he was really good, and then he got hyped up for the rest of his career. Even now, when he's in the Scottish League and he's awful, he gets hyped up, and then it's like it is what it is.
I'm happy with that. Say 4 on that Leicester side. And this is the thing. You look at them, so you'd argue Vardy and Schmeichel for their season were, whereas Mahrez and Kante were world-class players. Because Mahrez obviously went on to City and won multiple titles and was just outstanding there. Kante, on an international level over at Chelsea, it just...
There's an argument for Vardy, to be fair, because Vardy was really good for at least 2 years after that as well. I think for he had 3 seasons in the Prem where I'm like, he's one of the best strikers in the league. So I would actively be okay. The thing is with this team, that obviously people are going to talk about their centre back partnership because that was the core, I think, of a lot of their team. But in my eyes, the two performers, their midfield, Drinkwater and Kante that season. I mean, Drinkwater went to Chelsea after this and he wasn't good enough for Chelsea, but he got that move because of how good that midfield was. Them two together were insane.
Yes, when you're alongside N'Golo Kante, though.
Yeah, he just covers every single grass of the pitch. So it's all right. You can just stand there, but.
So we've got 4 there, which is unsurprising. That is, one of our lowest. And then I've got some classic teams here. So you probably... Were you even born
I was not alive.
Oh my God.
No, I was not. I was not alive. So I'm not going to know how these guys were compared to the world of football.
Okay. Oh God. I had, little known fact, I had a trial at United this year. So they gave me that shirt, which had a zip up thing on it. And I remember I really didn't want to put it on. It was horrible. They were good. It's annoying. I mean, Paul Scholes was world class. His passing is just obscenely good. Jaap Stam is one of the best centre backs the Premier League has ever seen, and I don't think he gets enough credit now. As I've realised that as time goes on, the appreciation of players goes down and down and down. It just, there are certain ones that it seems to go up with slightly, but only the select few, and then the majority just kind of all decline because people don't know. And the only thing you can really go off a lot of the time is off facts and figures. So say Mohamed Salah will go down really well because of his goal output. People look and go, unbelievable player. But as we were talking earlier about aesthetics and, in different systems and things, Mohamed Salah is nowhere near a Thierry Henry. He's just not. They're not on the same level. And I'm not saying Mo Salah isn't good, obviously. But I think Jaap Stam was one of the best defenders I've ever seen. He would eat up most strikers now, pretty much. I'd love to see him against Erling Haaland. I don't think Haaland would get any change out of him. Because you look at him against, say, a Gabriel and Stam, far more aggressive than him, but there we go.
He's scary. Jaap Stam is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because he was a manager for a bit as well, and I remember there was loads of stories about him just being crazy. I was surprised.
Being one of his players. Oh God, being in training.
Can I say I don't think any of this team, this 99 team, has become a good manager. I mean, I know it's the joke about the class of 99, and they've all been kind of bad managers, but yeah. I mean, I think. Obviously, I don't know the context of everything. I wasn't alive, but I feel like this United team, I feel like football generally in the end 90s, was very specific. Maybe not football in general, maybe just United. Like I feel like they have a culture around United where it almost works with them, but really doesn't work with like the outside world or
Yeah.
anything. Like and I think that's the same you see in like some of the punditry that some of these people have.
I think like for me, I obviously I grew up hating Sir Alex Ferguson, hated him, and I always wondered like how on paper I just thought our players were better, just quality wise better, and if you looked at them on an international level as well, they always performed. And I thought, how on earth does Fergie kind of get these results and get these titles? And as I get older, I look and I think maybe he actually is that good of a manager, and I was just too young to understand. Because like Johnson, he's, it's like he's not a player I will ever remember unless his name is up on the screen. A Wes Brown, a John O'Shea, a Darren Fletcher, a Luke Chadwick, for the people that remember Luke Chadwick. Like, he got change out of these guys. He got like really good performances out of them. Like Gary Neville, right? Gary Neville, arguably world class at that time. He is not a patch in terms of football as Kyle Walker or a Trent or something. But if you look at the career he had, it's far better than Trent Alexander-Arnold. So I think he has to go in there.
Yeah, I mean, fullbacks back then though did have like because Roy Keane always talks about Dennis Irwin, like how good he was and stuff. But I always like I don't know that much, but I do think the fullbacks jobs were so kind of simple in a 4-4-2 back then. Like it's obviously I think now like being a fullback, I know people would say it's the easiest job. I think at the elite level of football, tactically, it's like the biggest area where you can actually get like an advantage. So I feel like that's why you've been seeing centre backs go to fullback. You're seeing midfielders move there. Like they want people that are insane footballers to just go there to like help them tactically. Back then, like I feel like Neville's just sitting there in his line, and the right back has to defend a winger, and that's like that's what it is. And wingers did actually run at players then, though. I will say that they don't anymore. So.
Yeah. But then it's that thing of like the space isn't behind you as much.
Yeah.
So they're kind of running at you, not running behind you. I do think, for me, fullbacks, defenders in general, and number nines were far better at that point. I think you just look through the kind of the quality, which is why we see like goal scorers scoring so many now, because I don't think 1-on-1 defenders are as good now. And maybe that's to do with system defending. Everything's defended for a system. So like we have such a good defense, not just because of the individuals in our defense, it's because of the whole system that we play. And we win the ball so high up the pitch that we don't have to worry about our defenders always being 1-on-1. So it's just a different game. And again, in another 20 years it'll change again. For me, Schmeichel was world class.
It's so true. I mean these United players are probably making like 10 tackles per game. Like Gabriel and Saliba like have less than 1 per 90. They just don't even need to. Like, I mean, it's crazy we've put Schmeichel and his son in here. Like that is insane.
Mad,
I think they both reached. I mean,
they're a bit of a caveat.
They both won the Prem and both been like
the one season for Casper as opposed to the decade for Schmeichel.
Still though, that in this situation he was in, that must be insane. Like, and I can't believe when they won the league. That was the thing I was thinking. I was just like, wow, that is insane to think your dad won it, and you've played like not a bit part. Well, you've been a major part of Leicester winning it, and I think probably the biggest shock of all time. Like, and probably will be.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's those pictures in there of him with his dad at Old Trafford, lifting up the trophy and stuff. It's like, as much as I'm not a fan of the Schmeichels, I think it is a great story. It's amazing. Roy Keane, I appreciate him more and more.
There's one player on this list that I'm on this team that I'm really interested to see your opinion about.
Okay.
About Roy Keane.
Roy Keane. So for me, my appreciation has gone up like tenfold as I've got older, because I look and go, actually, the job he did for that team was incredible. Whereas I think because I was a lot younger, I looked at him as like a bully. He was United personified. He was Sir Alex Ferguson on the pitch. Now, he bullied referees. He bullied players. He should have been suspended multiple times, let alone just having red cards and things. He should have had long periods off the pitch. But he was actually a very good footballer, and he was world class that year. He's the reason, like a big component to them winning the treble. And in a two-man midfield, did a lot of the hard yards, where Scholes covered ground through passing. So I think he was, and again, a world-class captain. I think that's inarguable. He was just such a good captain. Who's the player you're going to say?
Well, Roy Keane. Roy Keane's a weird player for me because, like, I have actually watched Giggs play, I've watched Scholes play, I've watched Neville play. So as much as I see them in the media, I have a perception of like, oh, I know what you were like. At least I know that it's older. Like I saw Giggs when he's almost 40. Bear in mind, but like I did see some good seasons at Scholes. Like I do remember Scholes still being really good when I watched him. And I remember when he did that thing where he retired, then he came back and helped them win the league, and then retired again or something like that. I remember that whole thing going on. But I never saw Roy Keane play. He retired in 2000. He left United in 2005. Like I was 4 years old. Like so, all I see him as is a bully, a guy that broke people's legs when he was upset about things, a guy that is a bit old-fashioned in ways, and I respect that. But I don't know. Like I never. But people talk about him like oh, he is like insane. So I respect that. The player that I was interested in is David Beckham because David Beckham is a weird player because I've actually like when I was younger, like he's that player that everyone talks about. So you watch stuff about him. Like I've watched a lot about Beckham and stuff. Like as a person, I don't mind him. I've watched his documentaries and stuff. And I know a lot of people are quite fond of him, but I just don't like. I speak to my dad and stuff, and he always tells me that like the media's perception of him was always like bigger than he actually was, and like sometimes that like he was made out to be the best player in England squad or the best player in United squad, when he was realistically just like not, and he was just like he was insane at like crossing and free kicks, but like there was other things that he wasn't as good at. So I want to see your opinion on him.
So like the whole United thing is really strange anyway, because they were the darlings of the media. Like they still are to a certain extent, but no one would ever talk out of turn about them, like at all. Like I think part of the reason Arsene Wenger isn't revered so highly is because he was one of the few people that kind of stepped out and stood up to the establishment per se. He like Fergie bullied referees, he bullied the media. Keane bullied players, bullied referees. Gary Neville did the same. Jaap Stam, Peter Schmeichel. Like you look at the players on that pitch, the first thing I think with Keane, Neville, Schmeichel is shouting. Like that sounds really weird, but they would shout down players. They shout down decisions. You would never get away with it now. It's like if anyone wants to go and watch like the Battle of Old Trafford and things, and the way that Gary Neville kicked Jose Reyes off the pitch, it would never fly now. But I think with David Beckham, he was the poster boy of that club, and the media at one point, like, he could do no wrong, and then there was the turn of him versus Fergie, and that was like a huge plot line and storyline. And like there's even the documentary that goes through David Beckham and his career, and they kind of play out that he went to the 99 World Cup and he wasn't starting, and he was amazing, and he should have been starting, and Darren Anderton was fantastic in that tournament. I think he scored like a goal which is like what recorded as like one of the hardest like shots ever in a World Cup. He was brilliant. He was really, really good. But everyone wanted Beckham. And then what did he do? He went on the pitch and then he let down the country. And people go, well, it was over the top, and Simeone dived and blah, blah. He was stupid enough to do it in front of the referee. Like as simple as that. It doesn't matter if he goes in 2-footed or if he flicks his like heel up like he did. And there was always like a petulant side with Beckham, and I think he got away with things quite a lot at the time. And then when he left and he went to Real Madrid, it was almost like a proper Galactico signing, because he was this huge media darling in England, and the looks, and he's with a Spice Girl, and they were like huge at the time. But when he went there, I think all of the Madristas kind of immediately found out that he is nowhere near Zidane or Figo or Ronaldo, Raul, Roberto Carlos. Like, he's nowhere near on that level. And people forget a lot of the time he was played out of position. He was asked to do different roles, or he just didn't start. And that was the best thing in David Beckham's career, because he realized he had to work even harder. Because I think he was always like a grafter, and the stories about his free kicks, taking free kick after free kick after free kick. But I think he realized then that wasn't enough, and then went on and had, great performances elsewhere. And I think that was the making of him. He realized he was that level below, and he had to kind of make up the difference in hard yards. And that's probably why he's loved more now, because he went off to, AC Milan and PSG, and he had, I think he was probably advised very well. I think he had a good media training team that taught him how to talk.
Basically did a media tour after his career.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So
go
he's
to
very
France,
clever.
go to Italy.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna give away my wages to the hospital. And there was the leaked email, wasn't there, with him getting really annoyed that he didn't get a knighthood. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's so good. And I think that
I
kind of,
so I did.
yeah, like he used some very choice words about it. And I thought, well, what have you really done to get a knighthood? I don't know. Yeah, he's a real interesting character. I just think he was always below that level, but he did have some great, he had some great performances. But he's just, and this is the thing, when I look at these players, right? So Cole and York arguably had world-class seasons that season, so that you could put them in because of their output. But were they world-class in terms of, were they up there with a Ronaldo, a Batistuta, reel off the players, Del Piero, Totti, all of these guys? They're not near him. They're nowhere near close. But in that system, Fergie got the most out of them. So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah, again, the midfield.
Yeah,
Midfield's the most important part of it, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I
mean, the next one, you'll probably know a lot more about this one. So this is a classic here, mate. Here we go. We have got the 03-04 Arsenal squad. I presume you've watched quite a bit of them. Like, not live, obviously.
Yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah. Just run me through. What do you know
not
about
live, no. But, I mean, I just think football's so different then, I think one of the positions I look at the most difference is the flanks. And wingers back then, like, were obviously much more skillful, but they weren't really relied on to score upon, let's say. Like, you get like 10, 12 goals a season, that's pretty good. Nowadays, if wingers aren't scoring like 20 goals, everyone's like, oh, you're washed. But I really, like, while watching them, while watching the clips, like, I just think, yet again, that midfield is so key. I think in all of Arsenal's title-winning teams, the midfield, like, obviously, yes, the strikers, the attacking players are great, but that midfield, like Vieira, how you pick the ball, like, as much like he's very like Yaya Toure. Yaya Toure is one of my favorite players growing up because he just picks the ball up. He's massive, but he's also quick, decisive, and then is also like pretty good at just helping the team. I know a lot of people that I speak to, like my dad included. My dad's favorite player of all time is Dennis Bergkamp. And I know a lot of people's favorite, and I've seen clips of him, and I'm like, the technical level that he had at that time is just unfounded. And even now, like, people can't do what he does when he brings the ball down and like on the run is so good. And that the goals that he scored, like the hat trick he got against Leicester, I know it was obviously way before this. And the goal he scored against Newcastle, like, that goal against Newcastle is never going to happen again. Like, that goal is just unreal. And I don't know, man. Like it, I don't know as much about the defenders. I would say, like, obviously, I watched Torre, I watched Campbell, and I watched like and Lehman. I've watched them play, like actually watched them when they were older. Um,
That's
and
cool.
I know how good Campbell is. Like I know out of all of them. Well, I mean, he wasn't very good when he was like older, but like I know like he's that physical type. He's like great in the air. Like I understand them things.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know much. Like I know lot. I actually like watched a lot of Laurent growing up because I know a lot of people were like telling me about him. Compared because I remember at the time he's getting compared to like Sanya, and I always wanted to see and like Gallas. I remember when but Gallas played centre for us,
Oh,
but I couldn't tell you like how good Laurent was, but I know he was like good. I mean, every player in this team was good. Like I know Cole was like, it is what it is at the end of the day. Like he incredible talent, one of the best in the world. And then even now, I do want to say, even now, what he says about Arsenal is such an arrogant, like he comes from such a horrible place. Like he goes like, "Oh yeah, but I was hurt and the club didn't understand that." I understand that, but you were a child. You're a young player. Like you can't get the even no matter how. Imagine Miles Sketty wanting like 100K a week and then giving him 80 and then going, "Yeah, I'm not going to sign it. I think I'm worth more than that." Well, fair enough, but like that's not the club being disrespectful. They just have to run an
and the
organization. Like
times were so different. Like we
yeah,
had to be so frugal. We, big contracts
well
like that were not given out, and especially to like left backs, it was, yeah, it was unheard of. That's the thing. It
yeah.
is all in context. I mean, for me, I don't think Jens Lehmann was world class. He was very good. Like, oh mate, you would have hated his distribution at times. Like it was horrible. There were times. So I can remember sitting down with my dad, and we used to kind of go, oh, like when keepers coming up for a goal kick, and the opposing fans kind of go, hey.
Yeah.
We used to kind of do that just when the ball was at his feet. We go, oh, okay, oh, phew, it's gone. Okay, carry on. And he was super aggressive. So you'd have these moments of just like, what is he going to do? Is he going to pull off a world-class save? Is he going to go run out and just punch someone? Like, I don't know what he's going to do. He was a madman. He was quality, though. He was like a really good addition, especially personality-wise. I think he kept a lot of the defenders on their toes, and he expected just high standards at all time. Cole was
So
world-class.
not on the same level with Seaman.
No, not for me. Seaman, safe hands, whereas Lehman was, we'll see. Just, different. I would say Campbell was then, which is really funny because if you talk to Tottenham fans, they'd be like, no, he wasn't world class. Before he came to Arsenal, they were all saying he was the best centre-back in the world. He should be going to Barcelona. He should be, and yeah, lo and behold, he came to us. So, Torre was very.
They still say the same now about their centre back.
Yeah, true. Yeah, so old habits die hard. Torre was very good, but oh, he's gone. Oh, is he back? Is he back? Hey, you're back. What happened there, mate?
Nothing happened. I was just like lagging, so it's fine.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Torre was. He was very good, but he just again like that kind of level below. And Laurent was, he was vicious. He must have been a pleasure to play alongside because he just, he didn't take any of the brown stuff. I'll put it that way. He was quality. Perez was world class. I don't know. Let me have a look. How many goals did he get that season? So 14 goals in the Premier League that season. But he was just so good. I can't tell how many assists he got. He was unbelievable.
Did he take some time to like? I feel like a lot of these players, not all of them, but I feel like some of them took a bit of time to get like adapt to the like club a little bit. I didn't Perez take a little bit of time. Like, obviously, Henry like first 7 games was playing as a winger and didn't do anything.
Yeah,
but like
I think the other
like,
thing is that it was changing to the Premier League then was probably more difficult for players like him than it would be now, simply because it's such a continental league now. Every team plays possession-based football. There's not, centre backs like Campbell in every single team, and players like Loren out on the right, willing to take lumps out of you, and that's the thing. Yeah, I like Gary Neville. Just go and watch a compilation of Gary Neville's tackles, attempted tackles, and all it is knee-high strikes. Essentially, he's I think that was part of it. But once he hit the ground, and he was one of those players that scored big goals, like big goals. He was,
he had that record against Tottenham, didn't he? He scored just always scored against them.
Yeah, fantastic.
It's like Martinelli versus Liverpool.
Maybe Martinelli can get there. Maybe he's just a
he only seems to score against them, so
I'll take it. We just keep him for that. Silva's an interesting one. Like Gilberto Silva is so underrated. Something came up the other day, and it was who's the best Brazilian ever play in the Premier League? And I think they had Fabinho, Fernandinho, Firmino, Gilberto, and there was someone else. I can't remember for the life of me who it was. He is right up there. Like, he's a World Cup winner. And I think people underestimate how integral he was to that Brazil squad. Because for all the attacking talent they had, both fullbacks, the front three was incredible. That midfield relied on him. I would argue he was world class.
It's just one of them things where, like, a player that does the simple job, maybe not like simple in terms of actually playing, but like maybe the quiet job, the one that just gets along, does his thing, is not the flashy player. Like, even in that midfield, Vieira's the flashy one, the one that runs with the ball, big guy. Everyone's talking about Vieira. Like, I actually think every single midfield partner next to Vieira kind of suffered the same problems at Arsenal, where like they actually were world class, but in grand scheme of how like it's transpired, I never hear anyone talk about anyone other than Vieira. Like, I never hear anyone talk about Petit when he was there. Never talk about Silva. Like, it's like these players were apparently really good, but like, no one ever speaks about them because of Vieira.
Yeah, I mean, I would put Silva in there. Henry and Bergkamp is not even an argument. It's not even worth talking about. They would just. I mean, Henry should have a Ballon d'Or.
100%. Screw Nedved.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Nedved was unbelievable, but just like, honestly, seeing Henry in that season full flow at times is just unbelievable. And then should probably quickly gloss over Freddie Ljungberg, because another big game player, big moments player, but probably was just underneath that level. He was like not an out-and-out winger, not number 10, kind of. I guess the start of these kind of hybrid players, could more or less play anywhere. Had a great career, but I just think he was probably just under that level, just under. Okay, and then I think we've only got 2 more. So here we go. So did you see this side?
I started watching football in December 2007, so I would have watched some of these games, but I probably don't remember. Like, my first real memories like about football were after 2010, like 2010 World Cup, and then beyond that, really.
Yeah.
But I did watch this. I know some of these players though, because I watched them like years later, like 2 years later.
Tell me who's world class in this team. Go on then. Let's see if we agree.
I think, well, I never actually saw Ronaldo at United, but I could tell that his last 2 seasons there were like insane. So, I mean, I got
we'll go with that. Yeah.
Rooney was on there. I think when I watched Scholes play, even when he was old, he was insane. I remember always being like, and Vidic. I used to love Vidic. I thought Vidic was so good when I was younger.
He's another almost like he Stam.
Yeah, I think Vidic gets like, Vidic is like, I think people know a bit now. I think when I was growing up, Van der Sar was like the keeper. Like, he was the guy that like every team wanted a Van der Sar. He was just so calm, kind of incredible shot stopper. Like I thought Van der Sar was class, and I think I'd probably put Evra in there. I think Evra was.
Yeah.
I think Evra's really good, even though I don't like him now as much, and he thinks he's a YouTuber for some reason. But you know, we're past that. I don't know why you would rather be a YouTuber than a footballer, but it's okay. And you could that'll be. I think Carrick was very good. I know a lot of people don't think he was amazing.
I think he was. I think he's similar to Lundberg, how he was kind of just below. Like, it worked very well in that system. But again, if you've got Paul Scholes next to you, it just makes your life so much easier. Give him the ball, and he'll get you out of trouble or get you up the pitch. I think Rio as well, to be fair, was world class at that point.
Do you think Giggs is good then? Because we didn't really talk about him in the last one.
Oh, I think I've got to word this carefully because this is going out on the internet. I think he was very, very good. At this point, he was not at his best. I think he is at his best when he was really young. And I think his career, I don't know, his career was so long. It's hard to say, you know, he wasn't that good. I'm not saying that. But you know, when you go, okay, he was a top level professional throughout. But I just don't know, and I know United fans would be like, no, because they absolutely adore him. But he's nowhere near on the level of Ronaldo. Like he's nowhere near it. He had moments, you know, he had that FA Cup moment against us. He ran ridiculously far. He should have been taken out. I just look and I think, I don't ever remember him being the best player on their team. And I think maybe that's how I look at him. And I also sometimes compare him to Paul Scholes because they came through at a similar time, like Giggs came through before. But Paul Scholes did it, retired, came back, and then was like the best player on the pitch still. Whereas Giggs couldn't. His legs had gone, and it was his. Maybe it's like, you know, the type of game he played. He relied on pace and trickery. I just don't think. I think longevity is what makes Giggs so good. But if I'm looking at a player for, like, say, my ultimate team, I don't go, oh, well, that guy was unbelievable for that amount of time, so I have to have him in. Which is why, like, for me as well, like,
that guy's never injured.
yeah, exactly. So it's
like, it's such a weird one. Like, I think Giggs is really good. Like, well, no, I don't actually have any really opinion on Giggs at all. But I don't know. When I was growing up, everyone kind of gave me the idea that he was like this insane player. And then now I've got older, I just don't really hear anyone talk about him compared to a lot of the other United legends. And I watched him because I watched him for a few years because he didn't retire till 2014, which is mental.
Yeah.
And every year I watched him, it was like, oh, he needs to get an assist to continue his 20 seasons, get an assist in the Prem. And I remember one year he got assist against like QPR. And then that was like it. And I was like, wow, what a player. So glad I watched it.
Exactly.
So glad he's still here. But I genuinely couldn't have an opinion about him at all. Like, I wouldn't.
No, I think
I don't even know how he really
early when he kind of came on the scene, I think he was incredible. But I think United fans still have that in their head, and then the younger United fans know of him because, like, their parents talk about him in that respect, or they just look at the record of, you know, he's won the most Premier Leagues, hasn't he? And it doesn't mean he was a vital component to that league team. Like this team, this 2007 and 8 team, he was not. He's nowhere near as important as the other players that we circled. Just wasn't, and he was in and out of the team. But he was all right. And the other thing is, I look back and I go, again, if I'm going at players who played in wide spaces, like Luis Figo was so much better at this point than him. Just so much better. And maybe that's the thing. I look at those type of players, but I don't know. And personality-wise, he was a horrible person as well. along with a lot of these other.
Yeah.
Really, you go through that team. There are some really weird stories about that team, like really
Yeah, I mean,
interesting.
I mean, I don't know how they work. Like how some of them speak in public is crazy to me. Like no one else in the world of football, like Evra, is a very specific example, but he is mental. Like he is actually mental. Like he went on a YouTuber Big Brother show and he said on the show he wanted to be seen as a YouTuber rather than a former player. Like that is mental in itself. And how he is as a person, like in interviews, is crazy. And also, he's going on his YouTube show, so we'll get him on and talking forever. But some of these players, how they talk is insane. Like the ego that they have, and I get that they won the league all the time, but they have an ego in life. Like it's not even about football;
Yeah.
they just have an ego. Like Ferdinand's a horrible person. Like Scholes is as a weirdo. Giggs is a horrible person. Like I think Ronaldo is not a great like person to be honest either. Like how things have transpired in him being older. And some of them are just so weird. Like even Rooney, like Rooney is one of the more level-headed ones, and he's still a little weird, but
I
he's
mean,
more
and
out of all
then
of them. He's
the whole granny thing. What is that all about?
yeah,
Tevez, didn't he? It might have been at City when he went off and he just went and played golf. You know, they're just
yeah.
such a bizarre
That's the
bunch
Tevez
of
I
players.
know.
Like, I imagine
Tevez was so
Edwin van der Sar
crazy.
is really like chilled. I think van der Sar was just real, typical Dutch, very calm and chilled. And he must have been looking around the change room thinking, I've got 90 minutes of this lot. Like, it's funny. It
It's the
is
same with like
strange.
some of the some of their squad players are like Ji Sung Park. He's like, oh, lovely guy, everyone loves him. You just just did a job, and it's like, what you put him with all these crazy people? Poor guy.
Yeah. Okay, we got our last two now. So Chelsea, or this side. See, when people say Mourinho parked the bus, they didn't watch this side live. I can tell you that. They were defensively resolute.
Was
I mean,
this the team that conceded 14 goals or something?
yeah,
Was it
yeah,
14? That is insane. Like, I mean, I have genuinely like never watched this team ever. Like, I watched Chelsea later on, and I've seen like Lampard, Drogba, I've seen like Terry, but some of
yep.
these players, I have genuinely no recollection of how good they were at Chelsea. Like, Robin was only there for a bit, weren't he? And I don't know how good he was there. Like, I don't know how good. Well, I watched stuff when he was at Fulham, but I don't know how good he was at Chelsea. So this is just like I have no idea half of these.
I mean, yeah, they are really interesting in terms of. So, like, if I start with Didier Drogba, right? Didier Drogba was really, really poor when he first came in. So a lot of people used to call him a derogatory name to do with your dog's business. So they used to call him Drog. So he was not good when he first went there. And then over time, he changed that number 9 role, I guess, as like a focal point on your own. But he always turned up in big games. So he was, for me, like and again, this is this comparison thing. So I looked in the league and went, well, Thierry Henry's better than him. So he's not world class. I think he was up there. Damien Duff and Robin out on the wings. Damien Duff doesn't get enough love. I don't think even from Chelsea fans. He was so good that season. Like he was, obviously they came in. They had a lot of money with Abramovich. I don't think anyone thought Damien Duff would be such a big hit because he wasn't a kind of glamour name. But he was a very, very good player. So yeah, 13 goals and assists that season, which isn't incredible in current day. But at that point, he was very, very good, very effective. Gudjohnsen. So Arda Gudjohnsen got, what did he get? 18 goals and assists that season. So, but this guy, Frank Lampard. So, according to FB Ref, in the 04-05 season, he got 31 GA from a midfielder, which is I mean, bonkers.
I think Lampard in many ways like revolutionised what it meant to be. I mean, because he kind of did play like an attacker midfielder, but I don't think his traits as a footballer are always necessarily dependent on that. Like he is like a central midfielder in many ways. Like he could do multiple roles. Like
Mm.
in my eyes, like I look at the footballer, like I don't really care about the Gerrard Lampard skulls. I don't really care because I don't like eat any of them. But like
And you're
when I was
kind of,
growing up,
I think, because of your age, you probably missed that because it was just constant.
well, yeah, I miss Scholes' peak. I definitely saw like Lampard was so good when I was growing up. Like he was the guy. Like I just thought like he could do everything on that pitch.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Just some of these players like I think with Jogba is one of the weirdest cases in the Prem because I think he's like one of them players that is like, do you consider moments more important than consistency? Because consistency wise, he was really good in some seasons, but they're not great overall. But he just
Yeah.
had them incredible moments that like you would talk about Arsenal wanting them X Factor moments. So get a job for it. That'd be nice. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, some of
Um,
these players, so Makaleli, he
oh,
obviously Bowley doesn't know who he is, unfortunately. So that's rough because that was that whole thing recently. Um, and obviously Terry, I can't. But this thing is, I've actually watched a lot of these players play, but I watched them like way older. And it's like
yeah. Yeah.
I watched Good Johnson when he was at Bolton in like 2014 or whatever,
Oh, no
and
way.
Carvalho when he's like 14, he's still playing. It's like give it up, bro. Put the fries in the bag. But I don't know. Some of these players are so weird. Like I don't know.
I would say you have to put these guys in. The amount of goals they conceded, they just go in instantly. The fullbacks were very good. Like Gallas was very good, but he obviously wasn't world class because they then upgraded him with a world class player in Ashley Cole. Robin's the one, he's the closest, I would say, in that squad to being world class. He's another one of these ones where you go, or was he? He wasn't like the unstoppable, like Bayern version, but he was very, very good, very effective. I'll try to find out what was his GA that season in the Premier League. Let me try and find him. Ian Robin, 16 goals and assists. So he actually got more than Didier Drogba did in the Premier League that season, which kind of shows.
Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you're looking at what, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly 7. So, I mean, one thing I think we've realised. Okay, number one, let's get some takeaways from this. Number one, there were more than there are now. I think looking at it, maybe that's rose tinted glasses as well, but I think there were better individuals. DMs are vitally important. Like Kante in Chelsea and Leicester, Makaleli, your Rodriguez, Fabinho, Fernandinho, Gilberto. Like every single team has got a world class DM. So do we actually have to? Is that something now where we go, oh no, we're all wrong. We're all wrong. We don't go out and buy a striker. We don't go out and buy a winger. Actually, what we need to do is go out and get a world class DM. And lo and behold, who we're bringing in?
Yeah, I was gonna say we've already got that guy.
Yeah, so
this is the thing. Like we have the platform. Like we genuinely have the archetype of a core of a team. I think what we've seen is that like you need a core of like your best players needs to be your core. It needs to be like a midfielder, a winger, maybe one defender, and your keeper needs to be incredibly strong.
Yeah.
I think we have that. I do think Arsenal as a club have that. I think our best players are remotely that overall. Like, okay, we don't have maybe going forward other than Saka when he's injured. That is what we need to now bring in. But even if they're not world class, I just don't. I don't think we need world class players. I just think we need like maybe the level below world class that are functional within our team. But I think you've seen it like it's much more systemal based now. Like for me though, like I don't think for me though before like 2015 is ever going to win anything in the Prem. But because of the system and the situation that Liverpool had, he worked brilliantly under them for many years and was like an incredible player. But that level that was there, so like I actually think when you look at stuff like that, you realize that like especially in the last like 10 years, I would say that Arsenal have a good enough core. I mean, we should have won the league last year. I still would say that, but we have a good enough core
Oh,
to easily win this league. Like, we just need to get some quality. And unfortunately, Trossard, Martinelli, no, I don't want to say Martinelli, but Trossard, Sterling, these players are not good enough to win a Premier League in 2025, unfortunately.
they're just not. They're not. And let's hope that Zubimendi is like a world class player in this league, because he does have to transition across and learn, how we play. And I think we're going to have to learn how he plays as well. It is a big shift. It's a very big shift. But
It's good that it's good that he's coming in now though, like earlier in the window, because that was, I think people don't talk about it, but that was Arsenal's biggest problem of last window. That
yeah,
we got kind of, I know it was the Euros that really messed everything up, and a lot of teams wanted to wait, but we got Mourinho in. I swear we'd already started the league, or at least we were the league was starting the weekend we signed him on.
yeah, and then he got his shoulder injury, didn't he? So
Yeah,
he
like you
missed
need to
the
get these players in
beginning.
early. That's why you're seeing Liverpool sign a Frimpong. That's why you're seeing them talk to Verts. That's why, like, everyone knows that you have to get your players in early in a full preseason to develop. And I mean, I'm so excited for Super Mendy. I can't wait. This gonna be so good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it looks like Berta has said, "Yeah, I know exactly what I want. I know exactly what we need. We've just got to get the deals done now." And whether or not they are the right ones, at least he's being proactive, because far too long. I think Edu started to do it. He had some good, good seasons where we did get players in quite quickly. But I think it is key. I mean, yeah, 100% agreement with you, mate. Could Gyökeres be world class? He's going to be in this thumbnail, so I thought I might as well ask.
Well, it's one of them things where, like, I know a lot of people don't really consider, like, people probably consider Haaland as world class now, but I know a lot of people, when he came in, there was a lot of pushback, or is he the best player in the Prem? But it's like, ultimately his job is to score goals. He has about 15 touches a game, and he's incredible at scoring goals. So, like, if he was tasked with doing a different job and maybe misprofiled, then you'd be like, oh, okay. And he's probably not individually the best footballer in the world. I think the same applies with Gyökeres. Like, I mean, I did the video yesterday. I think his dribbling numbers are very inflated because of how bad some of the defenders are in that league. But I don't think
Yep.
his finishing is bad. His finishing is his best
No,
attribute, and
yeah.
and is in my opinion, he's a world class finisher. And if Arsenal just want to get a world class finisher in, then I'm not going to be against that. So in that aspect, if he's got that world class finishing and we get him in the right positions and we're able to find him in the box and he scores, like, if he scores 30 to 40 goals, he can easily be like to reach that level. And, like, I don't know, it's one of them things where, like, he isn't, no player that Arsenal signed this year is going to be like faultless. Other than, I'm gonna say, I still think Zubimendi's great. I got comments on my short being like, "You hype up every Arsenal player." And I was like, I actually don't anymore. Like, I think I'm quite negative on, like, most of the players that we're linked to, like, all the time. But Zubimendi is someone I'm like, I think does bring world class quality, and I think people will see that. And I think we've got a great chance. Like, Gyökeres at Arsenal, I think I've come over and come to it a bit and gone, you know what? It's actually okay. I'm not that against it at all. Like, it is what it is at the end of the day.
I think over the past 2 seasons, he's world class. Like, he is. Like, you can't look at those numbers and then go, "Wow, he's only." Regardless, he scored more than anyone else. I don't care. Like, and especially if you start going through season by season in that league, no one else is getting anywhere near it. So for me, I would say, look at him against City. He did it against City. He had moments against us, but we are up in the top two, I would say, in terms of defensive units and working out of possession. So he's not going to have like a fantastic game. Like Haaland doesn't. Haaland doesn't have fantastic games against us. He scored some goals, but he's never dominant against us because it's so difficult. I would say Gyökeres has been for the last 2 years. It's whether or not he can be for us in the Premier League, and that's the difference. Can he come and score? I mean, how many goals did he score this season already? He's on silly numbers right now. Do you know?
He's got over 50. He's got like 98 in the last like 100 games or something. And that's not even including like some of the assists he has, because he has like 15, 20 assists as well. I will say though, like, I think I'm quite negative on the Portuguese league as someone who has watched it a lot. And there has been players in the Portuguese league who have scored like not maybe his level of goals, but an unreal amount of goals.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jackson Martinez. Jackson Martinez was there scoring like 45 goals, and then he went to Athletic and scored like 3. Like, I feel like it's going to be so weird to see how he fits in our team. But I do think just because he's a good finisher, like I genuinely think many strikers in the world are good finishers anymore. Like I don't think that's something that people really focus on. Like I think this is why Kane is held to such a high regard because Kane at a lot of things isn't brilliant. I actually think passing wise he's very good, but I think the best thing of Harry Kane is his shooting, and that is why he scores so many goals. You know, if you watch the Bundesliga this year, he doesn't move; he just like stands there, and like sometimes he's in
Yeah.
awful positions, but he makes things work because he can just get a little bit of space and score. If Gyökeres can do that, then he's going to score goals at Arsenal. Like we lost in the semi final. We in our XG in the semi final this year is over 9, and we've scored once. Like that's I just don't believe if you give Gyökeres an XG of 2 per game, he's going to miss that many chances. Like, and he might not do all the other stuff well, but I think that's good. I think that we could be happy with that at least.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. And then hopefully we do some extra business and bring the rest of the squad up because Lord knows that we need more depth. This season has definitely shown that. And we went through before, didn't we? You know, going through players that are leaving or we should loan out. We know we've got so much work to do, and it's key. We get this done early. We
Yeah,
have
I
to get
mean,
this work done early.
I did a 47-minute video of like every player, and I must have missed like 8 players that I also analysed on other platforms instead because I just didn't have time. Like I didn't have time to talk about Eze that much when I like Eze. Like I didn't have time to talk about Nico Paz from Como. Like there is so many players that we actually could sign. It's crazy. Like I looked at 12 wingers. I have a shortlist of 12 wingers that we could buy. Like, and then I've got a shortlist of 7 attacking midfielders, and we might not even buy an attacking midfielder. Like it's going to be an insane summer. But like even like with the news that we're hearing about Berta and Arteta, like I think it's probably getting blown out of proportions
Oh
because
yeah,
I've heard like it does seem like Arteta is like very much like happy. He's either way. Like I think he wants Sesko, but I think he's happy with Gyökeres. Like I think he's like, oh, I don't care. Like he's good enough. I'll work with it. But it's going to be so like this is why it is exciting. Like, and I think that Liverpool game as well. There's many reasons why it was like it wasn't brilliant, but the second half was a big step up in performance, and even tactically, like Martinelli's runs were really cool. I thought Trossard actually played really well. I
yep,
went on Twitter in the first half, and everyone's talking about how bad he is, and I thought, oh, Trossard not even played that bad, and in the second half, he's
it's
really
right.
good, and I was like,
Yep,
this is one of his better games. I don't know why people are criticizing him.
it's funny, isn't it?
And I just think it's because his floor is so low, but his highs are so high. It's just like he's just
Mm.
one of them players.
I
But
think as
I
well with
look at that.
the current kind of feeling around the club in this season. As soon as you go a goal down, everyone's instantly it's that well we're playing awful, and everyone reverts back to that. Oh, it's the same old Arsenal. Or we can't do it. Or we're going to lose. Lo and behold, we didn't lose, and we
Yeah,
played
we we
well in the second half. We
we
really
played well. I
did.
mean, Odegaard in the second half
Bearing in
was
mind it's
like
at Anfield as well.
Odegaard in the second half was like actually really good. Like he actually, I
He
think the
took a
most of the
shot.
I know it was a great shot. I know he had a great save against PSG. His shot that got saved by Donnarumma was a great shot. Like,
Yeah.
where's this come from? Like, this is the thing. Tactically in that game, I thought Odegaard struggled because of like the system, but I actually felt he was playing well, like at what he was good at. Like, I felt his passing was much better in that second half, and I was like. I literally watched that game and I just thought tactically Arsenal are literally fine. We have enough options. Like we were making good runs with Martinelli. We just weren't putting him in because we were too scared. But that is just I genuinely think that is a personnel problem rather than a manager problem, rather than a team problem.
Yeah.
Just getting and it's not like, oh, we need to completely rip up the whole squad like City are and get everyone new. We just need to get a few players like who will help us in these tough times, and obviously more depth. Like I've seen people say that we should sign Rodrigo and get rid of Martinelli. Doesn't make any sense. I'd rather Martinelli on the bench than trying to buy anyone else. Like everyone forgets that we have no depth. Like
Yeah.
if Odegaard and Martinelli have to come out of the team, then them on the bench is not. I'd rather that than a lot of things. Like I think this summer's going to be exciting though, at least.
Here's a question for you before we finish. All right. Thinking about ins and outs, and I know I asked you about I kind of put forward the idea of could we get rid of Kai Havertz if the money was right? And we both agree. We said it's one, it's not going to happen, and two, he does give a lot to the squad. And he's a known commodity now at Arsenal. I think we know what we can get out of him, and we can play over the press to him. He can lead the line. He can. He's almost like a jack of all trades, but a master of none. He's not amazing at anything.
Yeah.
If okay, you sit down, you're having a nice glass of wine with Berta, all right, and he says, "FOKLZ." Okay, he doesn't know your name's Reece. He just watches the YouTube channel.
If he said that to me, I would lose full.
FOKLZ. I've been watching your videos. And I saw you've been scouting these two guys. There's Gyökeres here, and there's Sesko. However, I think I'm going to buy both of them, but I'm going to sell Kai Havertz. Do you advise him to go against that?
I would be like, put down the wine, stop drinking. You're going too crazy. There's no way we like. I don't know. Like it's like I had this point like a few weeks ago where I was like, Arsenal could just sign like one striker, like a main one, like Gyökeres, and if he doesn't work, let's get a Jonathan David in. As a backup on a free, even though he is going to cost.
Hey, his name keeps coming out of your mouth. I think you're turning.
I know.
No,
I'm not. I did dial into it, and then I redid an analysis on him like a couple of weeks. I was going to do it for the video, but he was not even relevant enough for me to mention in the 6 strikers I mentioned. He wasn't even in the list, and the reason was because like he can't shoot very. Like
I was going to say he can't strike the ball.
Yeah, he can't. And I was like, what is number one thing that I want from an Arsenal striker? Ball striking. And I was like, he doesn't have it. So I'm not putting him in there. Like, he's a good attacking midfielder, like a good set-up player, but we already have Havertz. Like, I was like, he arguably does what Havertz does, but he's smaller, not very strong. And he's probably a little bit more prolific in the box. But I was like, you're not going to get in the box. You're you're
in
really
that league
small
though as well.
Yeah, and I was like, Jonathan David would be good for not the Prem. I mean, he's linked to Napoli. I think that's a fine place for him to go as backup. Like, it's absolutely fine. But I was like, no. Like, and it's the same with this. Like, people keep saying, what happens if we just buy both? Like, that would be crazy. But we just don't need to buy both. I mean, we could, I guess.
You don't. I'm just saying, like, if Kai Havertz just, out of the door, Sesko comes in as our prospect. Gyökeres comes in as our...
Like, I guess it depends on, but like, if we got, I genuinely think if we
got enough to cover the Sesko.
Yeah, I think that would be. I think Arsenal would play very differently, and I actually think that might be for the best. I think if we got 70 mil for Havertz, or like maybe recuperated the same. I love Havertz, and I hate saying this because I still think he's so good. But like, and I think just because he's injured, I think people forgot again. But like, I think if we recuperated the fee for Havertz, I could understand why people would be like, that's better, especially on wages, because he's going to be on a lot. He'll probably be on what they are combined anyway. If maybe they'll be on a bit more actually, because apparently Gyökeres wants over 200k a week, which is mental, but fair enough. So maybe, yeah. I genuinely think Arsenal will buy even 2 wingers or a winger and attacker midfielder though. Like I think we will buy 3 forwards. Hopefully, that is the hope. Like I don't want to just get a striker and a left winger and call it a day. Like we need a versatile option.
I just know how much work we've got to do. It just makes me depressed because then we've still got number 2 goalkeeper. We've arguably still got a centre back. We've at least now with Supermendy most likely, and
with Howson going to Real Madrid, like I think that means Saliba will stay, which means that we don't need to focus on a like starting centre back. We can just buy a younger centre back.
Is there a centre back in Spain that we could go and get?
Well, I like Mascara, but it looks like Aston Villa want him now, and because they just want everyone that we want. But like, we could easily just go and get a Jeremy Jacquet from Rennes, I think it's Rennes or Lille. Sorry, I want one of them. And he's just insane. Like at his age, like he is massive, and he'd just be great. Like we could just, I don't think he's going to cost much. All the French teams are broke. Like I think there's options out there, and it's the same with left back. Like I don't know if you've heard the rumors, but like apparently they are leaning towards getting a left back, Arsenal. because they want that versatile like overlapping option, which we said about. But I scouted like 10 left backs, and I was like, I just genuinely don't think there's anyone that good. Like, unless you go to South America, which is like out of my scouting range, then fair enough. Like, get a kid from South America in. But I was looking at all the options. I was like, Kershkev is brilliant, but he's 50 mil. We do not have the priority of a left back. And also, I actually think he'd work better for Liverpool than us in many ways. And then I was looking at Gutierrez, and I was like, he's at Genoa, like they're not going to let him leave, like especially the Man City links. And then De Cooper has problems, like he's so bad defensively. It's like, why are we getting rid of Zinchenko just by like Zinchenko that plays out wide a bit? I don't see the point. So I think left backs are the hardest place to buy for if they do actually want one. But I think well, it's like I said to someone on Twitter, like, I really want like an Eze in this team, but how does Eze fit in our squad? Like, if our midfield is a Rice, Zubimendi, like certified starters now, we spent a lot of money on them, and then Odegaard, maybe Waneri, like Eze's a right-footed player. He wants to play on that left side other than the right. So are we going to go to a double pivot and he'd be the attacking midfielder? Then that would work, but then Odegaard has to be dropped, and he's not going to drop Odegaard every game. So like, where do players come in? We can't, like, 60 mil is a lot of money for someone not to start. Like, I don't know.
And for us, yeah. That's the thing. If you're City, you can go and do it. But we just don't have the capacity.
Don't even start me on the City stuff. Like, the amount of comments about Arsenal fans on Twitter being like, "Oh, City are a serious team. They just go out and buy them." Yeah, because they can't. They have no risk. No one has spoke about the fact that they spent £52 million on Nico Gonzalez 4 months ago, and I speak to City fans and they're like, "Oh yeah, but he's just a 6. He's a 6. He's not a 6." If anyone watched him at Porto, his best role was a box-to-box midfielder. His progressive work, he's almost like Rice. He's 6'2". He runs brilliantly with the ball. And I thought the idea of them getting him in was he was going to be the Rodri replacement for now when Rodri's injured. And then when Rodri comes in next season, he'll be in the 8. But now they want Reinders, who's a left 8. So I'm like, well, clearly not then. So they're just going to spend 52 mil on a guy to sit him on the bench. And I was like,
I thought they're going to move to a more kind of transitional and physical midfield, but I don't know what is going on. It's almost like they're stockpiling again. Like they did.
I think they will. Like, I think Reinders and even Cambiasso have been linked to at fullback, who could also play in midfield, who is a DM. And even like a Wirtz, I don't know if they'll get Wirtz, but I think these players are actually very suited to transitional football. So I actually think they will. They're just going to be. I think Liverpool and City are going to be insanely transitional next year, and I really want to know if Arsenal lean into that, because we've seen aspects of the end of this year where we have, and I think if we sign a Gyökeres and Williams or a Gyökeres and Semenyo, then we are leaning into a transitional football a little bit. Like, and
I might even get the best out of Martinelli, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think giving up the ball is Arsenal are okay with it, but we're so good off the ball, we win the ball back. But maybe, well, I don't know. There's a few. I don't know if you saw. There's a short by the Athletic, and they did it, and they said that maybe one of the reasons why Arsenal are really bad going forward is because of their pressing, and they put them in situations. I don't know if it's like a turn of rushing or like they're in not high XG probabilities, but even though they win the ball high up, they're not the players that you want in them areas.
Yes.
So maybe there's an idea that we are incredible off the ball and we win it back quickly, that maybe we just don't every game. Maybe we just let the other team have the ball and build up, and then we counter them. I don't know. I think it should be
the FA Cup win, the run that Arteta had. He is capable of playing that brand of football. So it's not out the realms of possibility that he could start reverting back. Or it doesn't have to be every game as well. That's the thing. You know, you don't, and it doesn't have to be an entire match as well. You can go through phases of, okay, we'll let the other team have the ball on purpose, and we'll, I don't know, invite pressure on. And it is an interesting one.
Yeah,
I do have a player for you to go and scout though, because you said out of your out of your remit, out of your zone. So Botafogo, I've got a left back here, Quabano.
Yeah,
so this is the one who's just been linked to Brighton.
Yeah, I have said him a little bit.
I think Fenerbahce are kind of in for him as well.
Of course they are.
Here we go. but I'm just saying, when Brighton are usually involved, he's probably going to be worth like 100 million by
or you just buy, or you just buy one of Brighton's left backs. You know, it's either one or all. You go, oh, Esperantinha, he's actually all right. Let's get him in. Like,
let's take him. Yeah.
I actually don't think he'd be bad, but like he was injured for half the season, so I don't know like what his market value is. Like they have Ferdy Kadaloglu as well,
Hmm.
who I wouldn't have minded coming to Arsenal. He would have just basically been the Maitland-Niles, the guy that
Yeah,
plays
yeah, yeah.
everywhere. You always buy Maitland-Niles when you play Football Manager because he plays everywhere. He's never great anywhere, but like, oh yeah, centre mid's injured, bring him in. Right wing's injured, bring him in.
Bring him
It's just
in.
like we could do that with him. I think. Yeah, I think we're going to make some weird signings. I can't lie. Like we've also been linked to Santos, haven't we, from Strasbourg, but obviously Chelsea. And I
Yeah.
love Santos. I think he's an incredible player, but he's a player that I didn't put in my video because I just thought, well, he's not realistic for me because he's at. It's not like us not to do business with Chelsea, obviously. Like, it's so we have to, but it just felt like he is like an incredible midfielder, and I'm like he should just play for Chelsea. Like Lavia's injury problems, just play him next to Caicedo.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe we might do some weird stuff. Might do some
I'm
weird
looking
stuff.
forward to it. I just think it's going to be
Yeah,
a whole different like process with Berta. I think the way that we go about doing deals, we've already seen like the way it's been almost leaked to the media. There's definitely some kind of narrative from the club about it. That the Zubimendi deal is like a primary example of perfect timing that everyone now knows about this. It's going to be really, yeah, it'll be really nice because it's quite un-Arsenal like in the manner that we're doing these deals or looking at these deals. Whether or not we have a complete U-turn and it's not Gyökeres and we've been going for Sesko the whole time, or suddenly they go, well, market opportunity with an Osimhen and we get him in. It'll be, it's not out of the realms of possibility. We talked about it last week. Probably the best profile is Osimhen. He probably is the best person right now to come into that zone, apart from Isak, which is way less likely. But just with Berta, I feel that it's that he might do it. You never know. He might just look at some player in Portugal that has been quite good, and he just says 70 million on this guy. Do a kind of like a João Felix type. Let's go mad. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens. It'll be
I mean,
interesting.
you live or die by it, don't you? Like, I'm still leaning towards Šeško. Like, I'm still leaning to the fact that I want Arteta to kind of get his way with the striker. Well, it's actually not even dependent on the players. It's literally more dependent on the fact that I want Arteta to kind of have his back a little bit in this situation, because I do think we have been looking at Sesko for a long time. We have needed a striker for a long time. It's a very, very important position for us that I kind of wanted to get it right. And I don't think Gyökeres is going to be bad. I think Gyökeres will be better next season than Sesko will. Like, I easily think that. And obviously, like, Gyökeres has aura. So, like, you've got to consider these things. I don't think Sesko does, unfortunately. But I think that, like, other positions, I am willing to allow Berta to have his player. If he wants to get this crazy attacking midfielder or central midfielder that he likes, yeah, let him do it. With striker, I find it like, you've just come in, mate. Like, maybe let Arteta have this one. I don't know.
I don't mind it. I really don't. I just think, at
Gyökeres is
least
so
we're
fun.
linked to at least we're linked to attackers, because
Well, yeah, I mean,
it
if
is.
we were, that would have blown my
Well,
mind.
yeah, but I have no doubt that we'll get in two. Whereas last season, I kept on saying we need this, we need this, we need this. Nothing. At least this time,
Yeah,
I just think he is the type of person that will say, "No, we're doing it. That's where we're spending our money, and we'll worry
we
about other
need
things after."
we need to get 3. Like, we need to give Saka some rest. Even if we buy an attacking midfielder or whatever we do, if we buy a right, we need also more right footers in the attack, like 100%. Like, we are
Yeah,
so like dependent on the left footers. Like, we should just buy a right-footed attacking midfielder that can play on the wing. So then, in games where Martinelli might be injured or whatever, you can play him on the left wing. The new signing that we had, he should be able to play on both wings, and then you can rest Saka in some way where it's not like playing a child that he clearly doesn't want to play in wing anymore because he hasn't played any minutes in the last month. And
knows me.
what Nelson's coming back, like, surely Nelson at 100 grand a week is not going to be staying at the club. Like, he has to be
He
gone
has
for
to
that
go.
amount of money.
We don't
Like, we
trust him
cannot
anyways.
afford.
We don't play him.
And he's never fit. He's never fit. Like, what is the point? Like, Saka needs a player that can come in and help him. It's pointless having, like, this is the problem with Arsenal. All our backup players are the most injury-prone players of all time. That the first team players that you would usually say, Gabriel's never really injured. Saliba's usually fine, other than that, like, month and 20 and a couple of years ago. Havertz has never been injured. Odegaard's barely ever injured. But the problem is they have to play 4,000 minutes a season because all the backups are injured, and then they get injured because of that. So, like, honestly, just buy. We just need to buy loads of players. I don't even care at this point. Like, get a backup right back, a right centre back in, get a backup left back in, get a keeper in, get a winger in. Like, our quality needs to be in the DM with Zubimendi and our attack, but the rest can literally just be squad players. Like, and it's fine.
Just before we finish, I do want to say that the pre-season is the one thing where I'm really excited about getting in players, and I want them to be in early. But we have got to be really careful with this pre-season. What I mean by that is that you talking about giving players rest and not, relying on players playing a crazy amount of minutes. I think we've had a huge problem. The right back is a good example. So Timber had his injury. Ben White obviously had a long-term problem. We had to continue playing him to the point where he broke down. Timber's come in. Timber's had to constantly play. His body's starting breaking down again now. We've seen it multiple weeks. He seems to have a niggle at the end of every match. And it's that problem of, like, he's just getting over it, and then Ben White's not fully ready to play again. I hope we don't do that with new signings, because Kai Havertz will be coming back, and obviously at that point he should be nearing full fitness. So I'm hoping that will give pressure off like a Seska or Gyökeres or whoever it is that comes in. Bukayo Saka needs proper rest again. I think Odegaard needs proper rest. I hope we don't do this thing where Zubimendi comes in and then he's straight away full tilt, and hopefully we can use the preseason properly and get them up to speed, get them used to the way we play, and get the other players used to them, but not at the detriment to them long term. And it's going to be a really interesting preseason to see how we do that alongside bringing in other players, because I guess Max Dowman will probably be part of the squad in preseason. It's going to be a really interesting balance for Mikel Arteta, and it's something that's going under the radar at the moment that I don't think I've heard anyone talking about yet. So, trying to bring some different thoughts here, mate. You knew I was coming there. The smile. But thank you, as always, mate. Another 2-hour. Look at that. Another 2-hour episode. People are getting their, value for money with us too.
I've done like 10 hours of content this week already. It's insane. It's gonna keep going.
Genuinely, if anyone's watching this that is not subscribed to Reece, go and subscribe. Like, what are you doing? Genuinely. I'm also going to say an apologies, because I have been told that I should be doing a pasty section on this, kind of like the Latte Firm snack check, and I'm yet to do it. So at some point I will bring a pasty on. However, it is 10 o'clock at night. No, it's 11 o'clock at night right now. So I am not eating a pasty at 11 o'clock at night. I may be Cornish, and I do love him, but not at 11 at night, unless I'm like, drunk, and I'm not. Go subscribe to Reece. Go on the subscribe button underneath for Forward on Football. Check out our Twitters. There is a brilliant, and I will say this, a brilliant thread about players on Ben Mattison's channel.
Wow.
But there's an even better one on Wackles. Genuinely, mate, that is quality. But how long did you say it took you?
Well, I don't know how threads work. So, like, I was like putting them in, and it was like, oh no, you can't do it anymore. You have to start a new one. And I was like, well, I don't want it to cut off. So I was like, oh, and then I had to copy and paste it all. And I was like, oh my god, it's so stressful. So I was like, but I'm trying to do a thread every like 3 days on there. Like, I'm gonna do one tomorrow about Gyökeres. So if you want to check that out,
I will check it out. I'll make sure I share it as well. I'll share it to my 2 Twitter followers.
No, you're more than me.
Do I?
For
I
the
don't even know.
military.
Do you know what? I don't
think
look
you
at
do.
numbers. Don't look at up. I did look at one number this week, actually. Last week was our highest viewed episode. So we are building a little fan
I
base
did
here. We're
actually
building a
put
little
it on my
community here.
community tab as well, so I need to
Oh,
see
did
that one.
you?
Yeah.
Yes, mate. Oh, look. Oh, look at you. Growth. Sharing it is great. Someone has just, do you know what? Someone has just tagged me in something as I've opened up X, and they've put Zubamendi, here we go. Osimhen, here we go. Nico Williams, here we go. Juan Garcia, here we go. Baleba, here we go. Jarrell Hato, here we go. And Eze, here we go. That'd be some summer, wouldn't it? Jeez.
That'd be a good summer, yeah.
Thanks, Christopher, for
It'd be
sending
very
that.
fun.
We will be back next week. Friday, as always. Catch you in the next one. Cheers now.